Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. Hello everyone, and welcome to the As Seen on TV podcast for Rebels, Season 3, Episodes 1 and 2, Steps into Shadow. I'm your host, Cleo, and with me I have John and Sam.
Get me out of here.
Oh god. Get you out of where?
I don't know, this box. It's kind of cramped.
This is a tiny, tiny box. Anyway.
Tiny box.
Tiny box. Tiny box that you're stuck in.
Welcome. We're doing Star Wars Rebels. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this. I love the show.
This is our first cartoon.
Thank you, Chopper. So I was gonna call you Chopper when you get robot-y.
I was gonna say that was very well timed. He does sound like that when he gets mad.
So Sam, I don't know if I ever told you, but when me and John watched the show, what happened?
I'll be right back. Okay.
Oh sure. Yeah, when me and John watched the show, we always imagine that Chopper's just giving the middle finger whenever he's going. He just throws up the middle finger. So I'm gonna start with my experience with this show, since we've lost maybe 2. Did we lose 2?
Okay.
John's somewhere. So I watched Clone Wars first, because it was all on Netflix, and I had the intention of watching Rebels, because I think Season 2 was coming out around the time I started binge watching Clone Wars. And Clone Wars was such an interesting show.
Isn't he?
What?
Well,
Okay, I'm back.
depends on mode.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I was just saying I started watching Clone Wars first, and I binged it. And Clone Wars is such an interesting show. Was such an interesting show because it was like snippets of like different people. Like what didn't just follow like one crew. It was a bunch of different shit. But a lot of the storylines I found fascinating. So what, Sam, I know you watched Clone. Were you watching Clone Wars when it was coming out?
No. I found it like recently, like probably after Force Awakens was coming out or about to come out. I was like, all right, let me get up to date on everything Star Wars. And I had seen or I'd heard other people watch it, but I never like sat down and watched it. And I was like, no, I should do this. And then, you know, it was so good that it made me wish that the prequels were better. Like that's not easy to do, and that's how much I really liked it as a show. So yeah, but I watched that first and then got into Rebels. But anyway, before I go on and on, but yes.
No, we
That's
can't.
how I came up with Clone.
We can't go on and on. It's fine, and it's probably this show, and I know we do it in our Marvel shows for our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but since the universe is so vast in which we are exploring, that going on a tangent might not necessarily be off topic, but you could be talking about something completely different. So it's just what happens.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with Rebels immediately because I'm like, this is like Star Wars Firefly. Was my first reaction to it.
It is. Well, so the thing for me with Rebels is I was like, man, I don't want to like it because I really liked Clone Wars, but I knew it got canceled. That, you know, because of the changeover to Disney owning it, and then Disney's like, you know, asking that then they create their own TV show. And then when I was like, oh my god, this is really good. Never mind. I was like, this is so good. And I mean, it was still Dave Filoni, you know, helming it, so you know, had the same feel of it. But the first like the big premiere episode and like Kanan reveals himself, I'm like, oh, like that moment had me. Yeah. So I was just like, yeah, they did this really, really well. So I fell in love with Rebels just as much as I like Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
And that was probably like the single most, oh my god, Because he does it, like, so fucking dramatically. He puts his
Yup.
lightsaber together. It's just like... Whew.
Yep, he like
Yes.
pulls it up. He's like, oh, he like puts down the blaster and then uses that. I was going, oh, he's one of the last few Jedi that's still alive. Oh my goodness, no wonder. And then they're like, yeah, so it was really good though.
Mm-hmm. So man, season 2's finale was a fucking doozy.
Oh my god!
Oh my god.
Ugh. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And
I didn't mean to make that noise. I don't
No.
know where that came from.
Believe me, I probably made much worse noises on these shows. But yeah, it ended off in such a dramatic fashion. Where everyone thinks
golly, did you?
golly. And yeah, everyone thinks Ahsoka's dead, and that's something that I guess I
don't think she's dead.
She's definitely not dead.
I don't think she's dead.
We see her walking away at the end.
She's not dead. I'm
Definitely.
sorry. No.
Definitely
Dave, I was gonna say, I don't care if he like plays. He's good at like faking us out, but Dave Filoni's not gonna kill off his baby. That's his baby, that character. I don't believe she's dead for a second. Now, how like she does eventually have to die, I would say, as far as like the timeline's concerned. But maybe we don't need to see that. I don't know, but I don't think she's dead at all.
Yeah.
But I don't think she's dead.
Yeah. Because we see a shot of her. It's a very small shot. She's very far away, but we see her walking away at the end of the last episode. But everyone thinks she's dead, especially Ezra, who it's hit the hardest.
Yeah.
And Kanan's lost his eyesight. Very traumatic stuff happened.
Oh my god. Whew. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Kanan's my precious little baby. But I'm so happy with what's happening in this episode, and let's get into this episode. So we start off with Ezra. Ezra's leading a mission. As God, Ezra grew up. It's like if there's any more evidence of Ezra growing up, it was this episode. Just a haircut.
Oh, I know.
He's wearing like a shirt where you like see his muscles. It's like, oh no, you're supposed to be a scrawny little kid. What's happening?
Well, no, and then even the move he pulled right in the beginning with the lightsaber and the stormtrooper was like, whoa! I was like, is this the same kid we just saw? I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
powers are growing here. So, yeah.
And it's good to see his, like, that side of his force wielding is improving. Because we know he's naturally strong with the animals and connecting with the mind stuff. But seeing his swordsmanship improve is awesome.
Yeah. I was like, woo! I got all excited. So.
Yeah. Uh-oh. We're switching over. Hopefully this works. Did this work? No, it didn't work. It almost worked. Anyway. And what is their mission? They're rescuing Hondo.
Right.
They're rescuing Hondo. So fucking funny.
Well, I mean, it makes sense though. You know what? I like Hondo a lot. I liked him in Clone Wars. I like that they brought him back various times because he'll just turn on you on a dime. But that's what he is. He's a pirate. But the character that I wish we had seen again, or that I wish they would use it again, is Cad Bane, because he scared the shit out of me.
Oh, for sure.
And I want to see him at some point. Like, he is such a good battle. Like, I don't know if they'll ever do it. So, but yeah, they're rescuing him for his intel, I believe. Yeah. So.
Yes. Yeah, and okay, there we go. I fixed it. Anyway, yeah, no, so they rescue Hondo, and I feel like my feeling towards Hondo is somewhere in between Ezra's and Sabine's, where it's like, Hondo, it's good to see you. You're a fucking son of a bitch. And I will never trust you.
No, because I know, because he's like, he'll help them out, but only as far as it will get him. But like I don't know. It's just a funny relationship. He had that same relationship with Obi-Wan and Anakin too. So it's like
that's true. That's true.
So, I mean, when it came down to it, if there was a greater threat against him, then he'll band together with them to kind of take that over. So they did that. They've done that before. Or at least I'm thinking specifically with Obi-Wan, and like when Darth Maul and Savage Opress were coming after them, they were on that planet.
Oh yeah,
his planet, and they were not to bring in Clone Wars too much, but basically he's like, all right, you want to go after the maniacs, fine, I can't stop you, but I'll try and help you with whatever I've got here. So, and he did, to a certain extent. He's like, as long as I get to keep the treasure, and Obi-Wan's like, I don't care, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Obi-Wan doesn't care. Just like when he takes the Lambda shuttle, Ezra's like, fine, just go.
Just go, just whatever.
Yeah, whatever, man. I'm gonna blow this shit up anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah. Man, listen, Kanan's my favorite character. Gonna lay that out.
Freddie, you know what? So I had no idea when I first watched this that was Freddie Prinze Jr. I was like, wait, what?
Me neither.
And then I'm like, I was like, he's so good. I love it. So yeah, I've seen him interviewed since, like, about the show. Oh my God, he thinks really hard about this stuff. Like they all do. Kudos to them. But he really thinks a lot about this and, like, is a big Star Wars nerd. And especially about the Force, which is important. It's the most adorable thing I've ever seen. It's awesome.
Yeah. And I what I like about this show, and they did it in Clone Wars too, is that they're exploring there's more to the Force than the dark and the light. And it's more important than that. And, and I always, there was always a part of me that had a problem with the dichotomy of the light and the dark, and how, like, is that all that there is? And then there was the arc in Clone Wars with the ones, like the Force wielders. It was like 3 or 4 episodes where because I binge watched Clone Wars and I was doing stuff when I watched the episodes. Right. That arc, I dropped everything. I sat down. I was like this close to the screen. I was like, go on.
Yeah. Well, and I think you were starting to bring it up before with whatever. Oh, I forgot what his name was. How he introduced himself, but the new character who's like a creature.
The Bendu.
Who's talking to Kanan. Right. Yeah. Now, first of all, that's Tom Baker. He sounds amazing.
Is that Tom Baker?
That's Tom Baker doing the voice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I have to listen closer next time.
I didn't know, and I wouldn't have known his voice. Honestly, I don't know his voice. It's not known enough to me, except for the fact that watching Star Wars Celebration, they were talking all about that. Well, they showed the trailer for the season 3, and then Thrawn came up and everybody lost their shit.
Yes, everyone did.
So I'm sure we'll get to that eventually too. But they showed that, and then they, Dave Filoni said, "Yeah, we're using Tom Baker for this character." And I was like, "Well, that's great." Everybody flipped out for various reasons, but that was one of the things he said when he was talking about season 3. A few things he could say.
Yeah,
that was that. I was like, "Really? That's him?" I was like, "That's awesome." So, but I agree. I like this more elemental nature creature kind of exploration of the Force. And we can even start to see, and I bet you they'll start to do this, not to get too off tangent, but I bet you they'll start to kind of explore that even when we get back to the trilogy films with Episode 8. Like, they'll probably start to go into some gray areas of the Force, which they should. So
that's what I want. All I want is just...
going to. I think it's a total thing that they're going to do, and I think they're going to do a good job, so I'm excited. But as far as, like, the creatures and nature, I think that's cool because Ezra's always been strong in that. I think what they did with the creatures specifically. And then also, I think it even ties into the larger picture that they're trying to do in general with the cinematic universe is like, oh my God, Donnie Yen's character in Rogue One, in the trailer, he's just like, I fear nothing. All is as the Force wills it. Now, I don't think he's Force sensitive. I think he's just a person of the Church of the Force, but that's awesome.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
Great. That it's like some people believe in it like that. So I was like, I mean, he could be Force sensitive. We'll find out when we see the movie. But I love that line. I'm going, yes, oh my God, this is great. The philosophy of it. So again, yes, more exploration of the Force. Great.
Yes, that's also why I loved Maz's character so much in Episode 7.
Yeah. She's like, I'm no Jedi, but I know the Force, and she can wield it. There was a scene in the movie where she is wielding it, but they cut it. So, but she can do it. So.
And I mean, I think it was wise of them to cut it.
I have a feeling we'll see her actually do it.
Yeah, I think it was wise of them to cut it because I think that her, to see her with a lightsaber might invoke something different, and they wanted to be like, she's just Force sensitive. That's all, nothing more.
Yeah. Well, they were smart too. They just used that, like, well, first of all, her like handing the lightsaber to Leia. they said they went back and fixed that just because story-wise it didn't make sense. Now, they could be saying that, but it could have been for another reason that they didn't want to reveal something later. I don't know.
Maybe.
But then also I was thinking specifically with the marketing for Force Awakens, they were brilliant because the whole time all we see is Finn with the lightsaber,
yes.
so we assume he's the Force-sensitive one, and then it's Rey, and we're like, what? And it was awesome, though. So, yeah. And some people believe that Finn could still be Force-sensitive, which maybe he is, but I don't think he is because usually you just have the one person, and actually in this case we have two because we have our hero and our villain, which is, I guess, how it goes. But still, there's, Luke is still around, and so I don't think he is. But, we never know. We'll find out.
Exactly. And I absolutely love the Bendu for, like, a lot of reasons. I think he's got, like, this sense of humor. He giggles at stuff. Like, I don't know. It's this giant, like, water buffalo creature thing. I don't even know. I was too enthralled with his character to really look at what, like, animals they drew from. But I love that he's neutral. And he's like, Kanan's like, no, that's Sith holocron. It turns people evil. He's like, how could an object make somebody evil? I love that line. I don't know why. I guess it's like, no, this is, and it's sort of like, this is knowledge. And it might be used by evil people. But knowledge alone cannot turn you evil.
Right.
I think it's knowledge mixed with ignorance.
Yeah. But he was trying to get Kanan to realize, listen, it is the choices. He's trying to really dial it back for him and make it very simplified in the sense it's like the Force is just, it really is very simple, but what you choose to do with it kind of makes those motivations clear. And like, yes, you can get knowledge from anywhere, but it's how you decide to act on it, use it, whatever. That's what can make it light or dark or evil or whatever. But the fact that it's just there and what it is, you can't just... And also, I think he was trying to teach him just, like, don't be so quick to assume something about... Like, again, it's just an object. It is just an object. Mm-hmm. You are afraid of what it can inflict and what it could wield, but that doesn't mean anything because it is just what it is. It's your interpretation. And you need to keep this very simplified in your mind because if you can, as a true Jedi, you can kind of bend the Force to your will, but you have to be that calm and that centered with it. Mm-hmm. So I really like that he was trying to get him to be that way. So yeah. Yeah,
and it's he was also like, don't jump to conclusions about these creatures. These creatures that just defend themselves because of what you're putting out there in front of them.
Yep, exactly. Well, again, he's really teaching him to very much, and now, especially now that he's blind, in that whole time he's talking to him saying, you've got to, like, bring yourself back and really use your sense of the Force. Like, literally, it can guide you and also can give you a better range of everything going on around you. That's what it's meant to do. It's going through everything. That's the point. Mm-hmm. So I think they, and I think as a Jedi, when you're practicing that, you get ahead of yourself with, like, how much can you do, what forms do you know with your saber, whatever it is, but you get to, you need to simplify it. That's the point of it. So, yeah, I like that he was trying to get him to do that and to see that. So I was like, yes, that's perfect.
Mm-hmm. And it's very prevalent in Greek mythology, but the blind often see more than the people with sight do. So oracles in Greek myth are usually blind.
Yep.
And I think Kanan being blind, he's going to be a better Jedi than he ever could have been with his sight.
I think so, too. I think part of the thing is, like, he sees it as such a disability right now. I'm like, that's going to make him a better and more powerful Jedi.
Yes, definitely.
So, with time, but it will make him a more powerful Jedi. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my goodness. So, yeah. As much as I was like, oh, that's horrible. But I was like, no, that happened for a very, very, very clear reason. So, I was like, yeah.
And I don't know if you I can't remember if you watched Avatar: The Last Airbender.
No, I don't. But the more, like, I see people post on Tumblr, I'm like, there's so many parallels to this. It's craziness.
And I'll have to look up other parallels. But the one thing that I see is that Kanan right now being blind is like Toph, the Earthbender, being blind, and having the Badger moles teach her how to see with Earthbending. And this is very much what the Bendu's doing for Kanan, is just showing him, you can see. You're not going to see with your eyes. You're going to see with literally everything else.
Exactly. Well, again, like, you wielding because the Force runs through every living thing. If you can sense every living thing, you're going to know where everything is. So
yeah, and we've we just saw, was that last season? Yoda saw them from planets away. How many light years away was that? It was far as fuck away.
It was very, very far.
Yeah.
Very far.
Yeah.
I mean, he's all the way. Well, so you know what? I finally found a star map, and then actually, so when I don't know how accurate this damn thing is. I'm gonna say it's accurate, but it was like, well, first of all, I was just blown away because I'm like, whoa, Dagobah's really friggin' close to Hoth and Bespin, but I guess that makes sense given the events of the Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, okay.
But it's just like, wait, what? That doesn't even look that far. Anyway, but yeah, it's so far. You know, like he's far away from them currently. So yes.
Mm-hmm. So let's move on to Thrawn and the baddies. Wow, Thrawn is he's scary.
Yeah.
He's like that calm.
Ooh, fun fact about a fun fact about Thrawn, the voice of Thrawn, that is the brother, I don't know if older or younger, but I think the older brother. So Mads Mikkelsen is going to play a character in Rogue One, like a central character. But that's his brother doing the voice of Thrawn. So I was like, that's great.
That's really funny. I like that.
So they're like keeping it within. I was like, that's cool. But yeah, that was great. So I really want to go back and I don't know, Christina, have you read those books? That trilogy, that's Timothy Zahn trilogy?
No, I haven't read any of the Star Wars books, and I don't know that much about the extended universe, but I do know that everyone freaked out because Thrawn was a big part of it, and now he's canon again. Right.
So I don't know a whole lot about it. So I tried to do some research. I don't know a whole lot about the extended universe either. I think now they call it, Start of extended universe, because Disney's like, nope, never mind. They call it Legends. But specifically for Thrawn, he was in, again, the Timothy Zahn novels. There's a trilogy of them. It's like Heir of the Empire. Mm-hmm. Supposedly, they're probably one of the better books of any of the extended universe. So I was going to go back and read them, but he's a character in there that's like probably, that like everybody raves is like the best villain. So yes, when they revealed that and they made him part of actual canon now, everybody flipped the lid. So, and you know, that was kind of the fun of it too. But I was like, that'll be great. Because everything I've heard about his character, I'm like, ooh, yeah, he would make a good villain. So I'm excited to see it. And I really wanted to go back and read those novels because I think they are, whether people like it or not, people don't like it because they feel like it's too similar and that they're drawing too much inspiration from those novels. But that's kind of why I want to read them for like the new trilogy. So. Mm-hmm.
And Lost Starships in chat is saying Thrawn is the most clever villain in the Star Wars universe, bar none. And I mean, we've only seen him in one episode so far, but I will agree with that because already he's scary and calm.
Yeah. Well, he seems very confident in what he's going to do, so I'm like, oh god, this is trouble. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's been planning for a long time, so that makes him a very, very scary villain.
Yeah, well, I feel like the Empire has been taking what they see and then jumping to conclusions. And Thrawn is like, there's more to this than just this, just Phoenix Home. Phoenix Home can't be it. Like, he can tell.
Yeah.
So he's thinking a couple steps ahead, which I don't think anyone has really done in the show before.
No, he's thinking big picture. I think the Emperor will appreciate things like that when you're fighting these kinds of things. And also he's like, how can I really look within and study them and know what it is, their desires, and then take them down from that angle? I'm like, yee! Whenever you have somebody really trying to pay attention like that, that's not going to bode well.
It's bad news.
So I'm interested to see what he does. And from what I understand in the Timothy Zahn novels, what he would do is like study like the art and the history of a culture, and that's how he would defeat them, by understanding that and then planning around that. I was like, holy crap, there you go. If you understand a culture, you know what to do. Yeah. So I'm very interested to see because he's more than just a strategist, and they're a dime a dozen in the Empire. Mm. So, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, and I was actually very happy to see that Agent Callus is still around doing stuff.
Me too. I really like Agent Callus.
I love Agent Callus. And I love to hate him until the episode with him and Zeb. And then I was just like, oh my god, you're awesome.
Too. No. I loved him too because I thought he's a good bad guy. He's not a great bad guy, but he's really good, and I like to hate him. And he's devious, and he always does. He tries. He does thwart them plenty. And I was like, oh, I hate you. Yeah. So yes, I agree. I really liked him. But then he has that episode with Zeb, and it's like it's cool that they showed this other side to him. But I still like him as a bad guy. Like I think he was always a strong character. So yeah, I'm glad he's still around. I'm interested to see what he'll do. I'm happy he's there. I like him a lot too.
Yeah. So John will attest to this when he comes back from being a robot. But I could not remember his name for the first season and a half. I could not remember his name, so I just kept calling him Hans because he looks like Hans from Frozen.
He does.
So I was calling him Hans, and John just looked at me like, no, that's Callus. And I'm like, it's Hans. Just, you don't know what you're talking about. So I still, to this day,
that's who it is.
Yeah, I still to this day call him Hans, even though I do now know his proper name.
That's hilarious. Well, you know what? I kept forgetting his name too, and then right before somebody would say it on the show, I'd be like, wait, it's Agent Callus, and I would remember. But yeah, I couldn't remember it either. It's just like, oh, it's you again. Ugh.
Yeah.
But I always really secretly be happy to see him because I always enjoyed watching him do stuff, or try and get them, and he never did. It was like, oh, nice try, man.
It's a little bit like Zuko. Not to draw it back to Avatar again, but it's like, I will capture the Avatar. I will capture the Jedi. It's just very funny.
Yeah. It's like, no, man, you're not. It's okay. You can keep trying. You're not going to.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to see he's still around even after he got demoted.
Me too.
But yeah.
No, me too. I was worried about him. Just like, uh-oh. I was like, okay, he's still there. That's cool. I'm happy as well.
Yeah. So Ezra gets promoted to lieutenant.
Right.
So he gets promoted to lieutenant for a hot second. But he leads a scouting mission, and I put the scouting mission in quotation marks because it wasn't a scouting mission for very long.
Right.
Yeah. Well, when they saw the X-Wings. God, Y-Wings. John's the resident starship expert. He knows every ship name. He knows what they do, what they can do. Like, it was so funny because Sabine was trying to jump into hyperspace, and before she even tried, John was like, "Those things don't have hyperspace capabilities." And then she's like, "Why does this thing have a hyperdrive?" And John was like, "Told you."
Man,
he knows everything about the ships. It's so funny. But yeah, no, they were trashing these Y-Wings, and Ezra's just like, "Nope, we're gonna get him. We're gonna fly him out of here." And everything goes wrong.
Yep, don't get cocky.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, they do get away with, I think, 6 or 8 of the Y-Wings.
Yeah, they get some of them. They do. That was the scariest part, though, is at the end, as Thrawn's like, yeah, let them go. It's fine. Let them think they won. And I'm going, oh, God, that's not good. Mm-mm. That's bad. So, but it was, going back to, what they actually did, too, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's that was my anxiety there, because I'm like, oh, did Phoenix Home showing up give Thrawn more information that he didn't have before?
I know. I was them too.
Yeah, them.
He's like, they'll come running. I'm like, no. What if he knows that they don't?
I know. I feel like them showing. I feel like he had enough information, but them showing up gave him a little more, and it's like, every shred of information he has, I think, is bad news.
Yeah. Well, that could have just been testing a theory of, if this happens and we threaten these people, support will come in so he knows who to target. And he maybe was just testing, let me just make sure I'm right about that. Okay, great. I am good. Now I know that for next time.
Yeah.
That's not good. But yeah.
Oh my God, that's like before testing police response times. Oh my God, that's scary.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it like that.
This.
Yeah.
I only just thought of it now because I was like, what other thing, like you said, maybe he was trying to glean some information, but I don't think so. I think he was just like, nope, let them come and let them go. I don't care. It's fine. So all I was thinking is maybe he's just testing that out to make sure that the next time that happens, he doesn't fit. Because he'd be taking a huge gamble if, he gambled on capturing, Ezra, Kanan, whoever,
Yeah,
and then like they don't come for them.
Yeah, it's
so
like my theory holds true. Let's move on to next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I can use that for next time.
Mm-hmm. Can I just say, Hondo talking to the pig people was hilarious.
Great. I loved it.
Like the other pig guy that was his cellmate, you know, he spoke common. Like, it's not English, right? What do they call it in this universe?
No, you're right. They call it common.
They call it common.
Sure they call it common.
I was like, I'm sorry, I'm falling back to D&D.
No, I looked that up too. I was like, wait, what do they call it in the Star Wars universe? It's all different. I'm pretty sure they call it common. I think you're right. Yeah.
Sorry, I just used the D&D term.
They either call it common or they call it basic. One or the other.
Basic bitch.
Basic. But yeah, they call it one of those. It's one of those.
Yeah, no, him speaking with the snorts was just so fucking funny.
It was funny, and it sounded perfect to me. I was like, this is hilarious.
Yeah. So, man, listen, Ezra was scaring me a little bit this episode. And honestly, blowing up the station is one thing. It was the "Leave no survivors" line that got me, where I was like, "Whoa, boy, you sure? Is that the way you want to play this?"
He scared me in the beginning with what he did with the driver of the ATST.
Oh my god.
I was like, what are you... Oh.
I fucking forgot
about
that.
Oh, kiddo, you're going a little too far here. That's too much. That's too much. So...
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god. I was like, Kanan, what are you doing? Why aren't you keeping... And I was like, oh, he's too busy moping. I didn't realize. I thought he might be moping. I thought he was over it already. No, he's moping. Okay, cool. All right, got it. So...
He's brooding a little bit. It's all right.
By the way, one of my favorite parts was, like, I feel like, I mean, Ezra's, like, feels like he's abandoned a lot by Kanan, at least recently. Understandably, but, like, the fact that Kanan comes for him, he's, reaching out to him via the Force, but as a master would with his apprentice, he comes and he's, like, shows that he's there for him. I was like, yay! So I liked that.
So I call Hera ship mommy. So, like,
she is, though.
She's ship mama, but when she gets in, and I loved how Kanan was already in the cockpit when she comes in.
Yeah.
So, but when they leave, I'm like, ship mommy and ship daddy are on the way. Don't worry, they're coming to save you.
No, I was saying that too. I was like, oh, they're gonna go get him! Yay! Thank goodness. And she, so like they're like let's go. And I liked how much Kanan was like, no, we have to go get him. I was like, yay! Yes, go get him, please.
Yes, let us go get him.
Go take care of your ward.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, obviously Kanan's had to be dealing with his stuff. But you're right, as Ezra feels a little bit abandoned, and he also has this anxiety of not wanting anyone else to get hurt, which is the reason he's been using the Sith holocron, to get better so nobody else gets hurt.
I love that part too, because it's like he's doing exactly what all the best intentioned people do when they go to the dark side. We're like, I'm going, oh no, not this again, no. And like Kanan's even having the usual speech, and I'm like, oh no. I was like, oh god, here we go. Which, by the way, real quick, not a total tangent, but I remember I watch a podcast called Jedi Council. It's put on by Collider Video. It's really well done, but one time they had this really great interview with Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sam Witwer, who is the voice of Darth Maul. So, and they did this great thing where, like, they kind of talked about their experience working with Taylor, who's the kid who plays Ezra, like, what it was like to kind of talk to him about how they think of the Force, what they think was, like, the light side and the dark side, and, like, how he was, like, literally, and he's a kid, too, and he's not been, like, kind of exposed to Star Wars the way they have. He literally just, like, when he got hired for that job to play that young, to play Ezra, that was his first exposure to it. And he's learned about it since, but he was like, yeah, but why can't I do that with the Force? Like, blah, 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 like going along of that easy path of the dark side. And then, like, they're both trying to, like, kind of school him on it. I'm like, oh my god, but that's, like, what actually is happening in the show. It was, like, really cool. That's hilarious.
That is awesome. And but I think we're in a situation here in this show where Kanan and Ezra's going to meet the Bendu next episode, but meeting the Bendu, I think he's going to like show them a little bit how to not fall to the dark side if you don't want to, because what we've seen before is like the master holding too tightly and like trying to shut down all thoughts going to the dark side, which is not what you want to do. You want to like explain properly, and I think Kanan did have that master, Jedi master reaction when he took the holocron away. It's like, no, you can't have this because that's not what you do. But I think with the Bendu here, I think we can stop Ezra going to the dark side, because I honestly, but it is very reminiscent of Anakin. It really is, because he's afraid.
I think he's gonna go to the dark side.
Yeah, I don't think so. I've had the most amount of hope for Ezra that I've ever had for a fictional character. I'm like, Ezra, I believe in you so hard.
Too. I was like, you're just so not engulfed in everything else, and you just this could be fine, but it could also not be fine. I'm also concerned because Darth Maul is going to come back and be like, okay, he's my apprentice now, and like try and influence him. That's happening, so I'm like, yikes. So I'm kind of nervous about that as well.
Yeah, but I
was like, oh no.
Yeah, but I do think that telling Ezra that these techniques are not inherently bad, but you should probably, be a little more neutral about it. I think I just need Grey Jedi. I need Grey Jedi that call themselves Grey Jedi. That's what I need.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, also, that's what ultimately led to Kanan being knighted when he was, like, going through that kind of, like, test, but it was, like, through his mind. But, like, ultimately what allowed is that he finally laid down his blade, and he was like, no, I can't protect him, or like I can't change whatever's, but I'll do my best to protect him no matter what happens. But he accepted that he couldn't control the situation, and that's when the Inquisitor knighted him, and I was like, oh, there you go, you finally got it. So I was like, that's the key right there too. So he's got to remember that. But yeah, I mean, I would love it if we got into some more Grey Jedi stuff. But I think that, again, I think we're going to see that in episode 8. I feel very strongly.
I would love that. And something...
I feel very confident about that.
Yeah. And something that John mentioned to me was the color of the lightsaber. Ezra's now, and they haven't explained it yet, and I hope they will, but Ezra's got a green lightsaber now. Green lightsabers, like Qui-Gon had a green lightsaber. Luke at one time had a green lightsaber. And it's for Jedi who are not quite following the laws to the letter, Like, they work a little bit outside the lines. Like, Qui-Gon was a little bit of a gray Jedi. He didn't really agree with everything the Council said. He went against them a lot. So, I like that he's got a green lightsaber now.
Well, Luke has one still, too, currently. That is still, that is his lightsaber currently.
Right. Forgot about that.
Ahsoka had green lightsabers as well.
Yep.
Before she left her. So.
Yes. And now her lightsabers are yellow, right? Or one is yellow?
They're white because she is
white.
Neutral.
You're right.
They're white.
They're white.
Specifically because she's neutral. I didn't know that. They had to explain. I was like, I should have known that. I should have guessed that. But they did explain that that's why she has white lightsabers now.
And I'm not sure if it's... Because I remember at one point she had a yellow. I think it might have been a green and a yellow. Or something. I don't know. I remember
she had 2
having
greens.
Yellow. She had 2 greens? Alright. Probably misremembering.
Pretty sure. Maybe she had a yellow at some point for some other thing. But from what I remember, her 2 blades were green.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I have her toy right here. And they are both green.
And now she has 2 white ones. Oh my gosh. Which... Last season when we first see her and she fights them off, I'm like, oh no! Everyone's like, oh.
It was so funny.
She's like really highly skilled. So it was like, oh, like the Inquisitors had not gone up against her yet. So I was like, yeah, boy, she's gonna beat you.
Yeah, and those Inquisitors were such like chumps, like for real.
I know.
But as soon as they like tried to step to Ahsoka, I'm like, oh no, she gonna beat your ass.
I was gonna say, yeah, she's gonna kick your butt.
Yeah. For sure.
They're tossing around Ezra and Kanan a little bit, and I'm like, when she steps out, I'm like, this is done. I mean, she went around with Vader. She held up pretty well too. Again, I don't think she's dead, so that's
Definitely
my
not.
personal opinion. Oh,
So
that
what-
made me think about it. Made me cry. I was like, no,
Yeah.
terrible.
So I'm glad we're talking about Ahsoka again, because I had something else to say about Ahsoka. I read a theory that when she was on the planet of the Force wielders in Clone Wars, I think she died, and then the daughter like sacrificed herself for Ahsoka, or something happened where the daughter, the good side of the Force,
Yeah, the daughter gets killed by the son. The
protecting
son is trying
Ahsoka
to kill the father, something like that. But yeah, all to protect her because he was like possessing her and making her do stuff.
Yeah.
And trying to kill Anakin. He's like, whoa, so he's trying not to kill her while she's possessed. And blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So.
And the theory was that she's got a little bit of the daughter's spirit in her. So she's a little bit more than mortal, which I think would be fantastic. And that's a theory I could have taken or left, but they mentioned the owl. The owl that we see on this planet with the Bendu, the owl that sort of leads Kanan to the Bendu.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I was like sitting there, I was like, hey, didn't we see you? Hey, it's you, right? Yeah.
Because
I noticed it too.
Yeah, and because
like,
the daughter,
that owl.
Yeah, because the daughter turned into a bird. I don't think it was an owl, but it was something close. And so that was that theory.
There was like a winged creature that had that kind of tail. But that owl, there's an owl at the end where we see, or we think we might see Ahsoka walking away from the end after the battle with Vader. There's an owl right there. Mm-hmm. There's an owl that takes flight. That looked like that same owl that landed on the Bendu. I'm going, hey, wait a minute.
I recognize you. And that's because Sabine's new armor, she has the owl on her shoulder patch, which now I'm realizing might be her tribute to Ahsoka, since they think Ahsoka's dead.
Yeah, it might be. It might be, yeah.
It's all coming together.
I know, it's all coming together. And they don't do, like, things like that. It's like, oh, let's just do this. No, everything's on purpose.
Everything's on purpose.
which makes me happy, because I'm just like, we look for this stuff. We look and we try and piece it together, and we like this stuff. So, yeah.
Yes, we're fans. It's what we do.
Yeah. It's fun of it. Yeah. But yeah, no, oh my goodness. I'm excited to, just like, again, tangent, but like the book that's just her book that's coming out in October, I'm excited for that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's going to focus what she was doing after she left the Jedi Order, so.
Which I'm, like, dying to know. Like, I thought we would get some of that when she came back. I'm just dying to know.
Oh, I know. Well, you know what's also funny, too, because, Christina, you mentioned that episode where she, with the daughter and the son, they're on that planet. Mm-hmm. She falls asleep and has a vision of herself older. Mm-hmm. Oh, like she does. Like, that's trying to warn her against, like, her I don't know if it was warning her against Anakin at the time. I think it was. I gotta rewatch those episodes. They're pretty good. That's kind of freaky, but...
Oh, my God. That is my favorite arc from Clone Wars. Hands down my favorite for so many reasons.
That was a really good one. My favorite one is, I'm so silly. It's all the stuff with Mandalore and Satine. I love that.
Oh my God, I love Satine. Don't understand.
Yep.
Yeah. So Ezra gets demoted immediately. Just does he get suspended, or do they just take his lieutenantship away?
What were you doing? What, like, are you nuts? And Hera's like, oh God, no.
I'll leave you alone for 5 seconds. Look what you do.
We let you do one thing,
Yeah. Well, it'll give him time to cool off. I think he needs to cool off. He's a little bit too hot right now. Like.
I mean, it's really funny. He's so worried about losing them and having harm done to them. I'm like, oh God, kid. Oh, man.
I know. It's everyone who's gone to the dark side.
Another person who did the same thing was so deathly afraid of losing people and made the same mistake. So I'm like, oh God. Oh, man. Yeah. Somebody needs to sit him down and tell him this whole story, please.
Well, yeah.
Where's this so we need her? Well, although she doesn't know any of that stuff, actually. Or she knows some of it, but not all of it.
Yeah,
she wasn't
she knows
there.
some of it.
And that was another thing. And that was something that I always thought was so friggin' smart about the Clone Wars also, is that with her character and the way they built it over the time. First of all, I didn't like her character when I first saw her. I was like, what is this? This is stupid. This is dumb. But then they developed her and she became a really great character. On top of the fact that I'm like, oh my god, this makes so much sense now more that he went to the with this stupid crap with like killing the younglings or whatever in like the prequels. But I'm like, his heart was broken various times. Not least of all, I mean, we know essentially Padme is like, but like that broke his heart too. And I was like, oh my goodness. So it made a lot of sense. I was like, oh my god, this is so clever that they did this here with his apprentice and all this stuff, and he lost her.
Yeah,
that was very smart. To just add and help the stupidity of the prequels, you know.
Yeah, and that I think the Clone Wars like made up for a lot of that. It really solidified that part of the canon to make it feel like it had a place.
It made me wish that they were good so bad. I went back and I like actually watched it. I was like, oh, this is so awful.
It's
but
so
I was like,
awful.
it could have been good.
I know, but I like to keep it in like a vague sense in my mind that it's okay. It's canon. I know this part of the story. And you know, Clone Wars kind of helped make that everything okay again.
It did. It really did. Helped to hold all the stuff with Anakin and Obi-Wan, and I'm like, oh.
All right, so that's episodes 1 and 2 for season 3. Are you you got anything else to say?
Only that it was really nice, good, solid start. Not giving away too much. But also just giving us a good taste of things to come and things that were unresolved from last time. But yeah, I think the only mistake that they made in the previous season was like the last 2 or 3 episodes leading up to that incredible finale were just kind of filler, and it felt like filler. So I hope they don't stall us in this season. But it's only been episode 1 so far. And I remember last season started off hugely strong. Like every episode was really great. And then towards like the third of it was like getting a little slow, and then bam, that finale was like so yeah.
I'll agree those episodes were slow, but I think they were character building filler, which I have less of a problem with.
Some of them were, and some of them were just purely in there, but they were good because like even the space whale one was like could be considered silly to some. I liked it. But but at that point I felt like they needed to have that momentum going into the finale. Again, that's just a minor critique, because ultimately I thought it was a stronger season than season 1. I thought they did some excellent stuff in both. I think it's just a really, really well done show. Like, it's really well done. So,
yep. So next episode is The Holocrons of Fate. Maul makes his return and captures the crew of the Ghost, minus Ezra and Kanan, in order to force the 2 Jedi to meet him and bring the Sith Holocron. Ezra and Kanan are thus forced to approach the Bendu. I can't wait for Ezra to meet the Bendu because he's got that connection with animals. And I think they'll get along really well. So, that's that. So, Sam, where can the people find you on the internet?
So, I'm on Twitter and Instagram as Like Leia, but I like to be clever and spell like with a Y. So, Lyke, and then Leia as in Princess Leia. So, all one word.
Cool. And you can find me at Cleomoto, and you find all of us at ASOTV Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, Google+, and right here on YouTube. Follow us for some more podcasts from some of your favorite TV shows, movies, and video games.
And I'm just showing off my t-shirt real quick. Cool.
Until next time, bye guys.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Lost Starships, for being in chat. Cool to see new people around.